In this video, we will talk about angular momentum. We will give its definition in terms of angular velocity. We will also see how angular momentum is related to net torque, which will then bring us to the law of conservation of angular momentum. Finally, we will solve a few problems based on the concepts presented. Just like an object with mass m kg moving with a velocity v meter per second has a linear momentum defined in a following manner: P equals m times v with unit kg meter per second, and with P parallel or in the same direction as v, an object m rotating as shown in this diagram with an angular velocity of omega radian per second would have its own angular momentum defined in a following way: angular momentum being the moment of inertia of that object times the angular velocity of that object in the unit of kg meter squared per second. We note from this equation that the direction of angular momentum and the direction of angular velocity are the same. So in this case, since the rotational motion is counterclockwise, the direction of angular velocity is out of the board, and the direction of angular momentum is also out of the board. So in this example, if we assume that the mass is 2 kg and the radius of that circular trajectory is, let's say, 3 meters, and the object is moving with an angular velocity of, let's say, 4 radian per second, then the angular momentum of this object is given by the moment of inertia, which is the mass times the square of the radius of the trajectory, which is 3 squared, times the angular speed of the object, which is 4, which is 72 kg meter squared per second. And the direction of this angular momentum is, of course, coming out of the board. Another example is a dumbbell system as shown in the figure. So you have two masses, 2 kg and 2 kg on both sides. This is the axis of rotation, so the entire arrangement is spinning about this axis with an angular speed of 5 radian per second. The direction of omega, the angular velocity, is that way. So the angular momentum is given by the moment of inertia times the angular velocity. There are two contributions for the moment of inertia. One is the 2 kg from the left and 2 kg from the right. So from the left, it's 2 times the distance from the mass to the axis of rotation is 1 squared, plus another contribution from the right mass, 2, 1 squared, times 5. Of course, we assume that this rod here is massless, so it doesn't contribute to the moment of inertia. And upon computation, you get the angular momentum to be 20 kg meters squared per second in the same direction, meaning in that direction, parallel to angular velocity. To understand further the origin of this angular momentum equation, let's look at this simple model again: a mass m moving in a circle in a counterclockwise manner. So it is moving with a tangential velocity. Let's call that tangential velocity v, and vector r is the position vector of that particle at that moment. We know the mass m has linear momentum defined in this manner. The angular momentum for such a point particle can be defined in a more basic way in a following manner. Cross product of two vectors, the position vector r and the linear momentum vector p. Let's look at the magnitude of vector L. Since vector r and v is perpendicular to each other, the magnitude of vector L is quite simply r times p. But we know from this equation p is mv, so you can write r mv. We also know the tangential speed is related to angular speed in a following manner. Substituting v in here, we get the following equation for the angular momentum of this point particle. We immediately recognize mr squared as the moment of inertia of this particle m about this axis of rotation. We also see, since r is going that way and v is going that way, or p, since it's parallel to v, it's going that way, when you cross your right hand fingers from r to p, the direction of your right hand thumb is pointing outward. So that is the direction of the angular momentum, as we have concluded earlier from this equation. Now we want to see how angular momentum is related to net torque. From Newton's second law for rotation, we have seen net torque acting on a system is related to angular acceleration in a following manner, I being the moment of inertia. And since angular acceleration is defined as time derivative of angular velocity, we can write the equation for the net torque as I d omega dt. Now let's assume that I is constant, so it can be absorbed under the derivative sign, and we get the time rate of change of I omega, which is time rate of change of angular momentum. So this is how the net torque acting on a system is related to angular momentum of the system. If there is a net torque acting on a system, its angular momentum will change with time. Let's say you have a system and there is no net torque acting on the system, so the net torque is zero. That means the angular momentum of that system is a constant, or more accurately, it's a constant vector. So we compare the value of the angular momentum of the system at two different times, let's say initially and finally. The two values will be the same. This is known as the law of conservation of angular momentum. Let's illustrate the idea with this example. So you have a person standing with his arms outstretched, holding two weights right there, and he's spinning with an angular speed of omega I. If the moment of inertia of the system is I subscript I, the angular momentum of this system is given by I omega I. So that is the initial angular momentum. Now let's assume the person has brought his arms together closer to the body and thereby bringing the two weights closer to the body. So obviously the moment of inertia of the system would change. Let's call that I subscript F. And the angular velocity of the system would now be different. So the angular momentum now is given by I subscript F omega F. If the system is not subjected to any net external torque of any kind, then the two L's, the initial angular momentum and final angular momentum, are the same. So the value of angular momentum of the system is conserved. So we can simply equate the two values in a following manner. If we are given, let's say, 3 of the 4 variables, we can determine the 4th variable. Let's do a problem. A 5 kg object is thrown with speed 10 meter per second. So that is the object, and that is the speed. When the object is at point Q, its angular momentum relative to this axis of rotation is what? That is what we want to calculate. Assume that the object is traveling with constant speed. Of course, we can use this equation to do the calculation of angular momentum because this is a point particle. Now, what is this position vector? Position vector in this case extends all the way from the axis of rotation to where the object is. So that is the position vector. P is going to the right like that. So that is 10 meter per second times the mass, because we are calculating momentum. So it is 5 kg meter per second. The position vector is 8 meters. So this angle right here is 180 minus 40, so 140 degrees. So let's calculate the magnitude of the angular momentum. It is 8 times 5 times sine 140 degrees, which is 25.7 kg meter squared per second. The direction of this angular momentum can be found by curling your right hand fingers from R to P, and you see that your thumb will be pointing into the screen. So the direction into the screen is the direction of this angular momentum. A person with mass m kg rides on a disc-shaped merry-go-round with a mass 8m kg with radius r. The merry-go-round rotates around its central axis with a speed of 2 radian per second, that is the angular speed. The person who was initially at radius half r then moved out to the rim of the merry-go-round. Treat the person as a particle, find the angular speed of the system when the person is at the rim of the wheel. So the diagram here shows the scenario, the initial scenario. So let's calculate the initial angular momentum of the system. The moment of inertia of the system consists of the moment of inertia of the wheel, which is given by half times the mass of the wheel, which is 8m, times the square of the radius, and then you have to add the moment of inertia of this person. The mass of the person is m, and the position of the person is r over 2, square that. Because we are treating the person as a particle, so this is an expression for moment of inertia of a particle. The initial angular speed is 2, which will give us 17 over 2 mr squared. After the person has moved out to the rim of the merry-go-round, obviously the moment of inertia of the system would change. So let's compute the angular momentum of the system, and first the moment of inertia of the system. So for the wheel, it is still half times the mass 8m times r squared, and the person modeled as a particle mr squared, and we don't know what the angular speed is, the final angular speed. That's what we want to determine. This will quite simply give you 5mr squared omega f. Since there is no net external torque acting on this system, angular momentum is conserved, so we can equate the two values and solve for omega f. And when you do that, you get 1.7 radian per second for the final angular speed of the system. So you see the action of the person moving from r over 2 to the rim of that disk actually slows down the rotation. And that solves the problem. If you have any questions regarding the physics or math content of any of the videos, please leave your questions in the comment section. Thanks for watching.